Hi everyone. How was lunch? Good? What a massive screen.
I know, rock and roll
It's
moment
huge.
right here, right now. Love it. Hi everyone, I'm Erin Shilseth. I'm part of the customer success team at LinkedIn. I'm a customer success consultant and have been with LinkedIn for near on a year now. A couple of days off actually. Prior to joining LinkedIn, my background is completely in recruitment. I started out with agency recruitment, as most people do. Then I moved on site to RPO with a large investment bank in London. And then I spent 4.5 years with a Big Four accounting firm here in Sydney.
Thanks, Erin. And my name is Ollie Garsad. I'm also in the customer success team with Erin. My background, of course, is agency recruitment, and after that, a bit of time moving into technology with applicant tracking systems, and fortunate for the last 4 years to have been part of the team here at LinkedIn. It's actually taken me that long to persuade them to allow me on stage up here at Talent Connect, so I am going to enjoy what could be my only opportunity to talk to you guys.
Well, it's an honour to share the stage with you, Ollie.
Feelings mutual, Erin.
But before we get going, we want to get everybody involved and to get back in the room after having lunch. So can you all stand up for me? Yep, we're those annoying people who make you stand up and do things. So just to get the blood flow going, if you can all stick your hands up like this and give me...
They all did it.
Yay!
I owe you $10. We've just got a room full of HR professionals to do jazz hands. Either that or we've just had a massive round of applause in sign language.
Yes, but thank you. There is a reason for why you are standing up. We want to get an understanding of who in the room has what experience with Recruiter. So, if you've been using Recruiter for 6 months or less, please sit down. Ooh. Wow.
A lot of newbies.
That took quite a few of you out. If you've been using Recruiter for a year or less, please sit down. Okay. 2 years or less. Oh, and we've got the veterans still standing. So who's been using Recruiter the longest? 4 years or less? Anybody more than 4 years? A couple of people. 4.5.
4.5.
Well done. Great.
So you've got to come up here and give the session now.
Thank you. So as you can see, there's a wide range of experience in the room, but we hope that we can provide you with some tips and tricks today that everybody can take home despite what your experience with Recruiter is.
Thanks, Erin. So today's session is about getting in and getting out. What we hear very often when we talk to our customers on a day-to-day basis is really that there aren't enough hours in the day. You guys have 1,000,001 things to do, and sometimes getting into Recruiter can become just another one of those things. And in addition to that, even if you do want to get in, sometimes it can be really difficult to know where to start. Does that resonate with any of you guys in the room? Okay, a few nodding heads. And we get loads of examples of that. Even when we do want to get in, it always feels like we're starting from square one. Or, I'm running 30 roles right now, and it's just impossible for me to understand how I can keep track of all of the conversations, all of the candidates that I'm dealing with. And even worse, even when I do get that great shortlist, my hiring managers don't give me feedback in a timely manner, and it just makes life really difficult.
Yeah, all of this really resonates with me, Ollie. In my previous roles, I had really high volumes of roles on. I was very time poor, and I wanted to get ahead, but I always felt like I was being reactive. So I wish I knew back then what I know now. And that's what we're here to share with you today. Those tips and tricks to help you get in and out of Recruiter quickly and effectively.
So the good news is that by making a few simple changes, you can have a really positive impact on the outcomes that you can get from Recruiter. It will change the way you work, and it will change how proactive you guys can be with not only your candidates, but also your hiring managers. So in today's agenda, we're going to cover off 3 main things. So firstly, getting ahead. So we're going to talk to you about how you can be smarter and more efficient about how you search the network and how you find the profiles that you're going to be interested in taking forward into a recruitment process. We're going to talk about getting organized and how you can leverage a new feature that some of you may already be aware of called Smart Projects that was released earlier in the year. And finally, we're going to talk about getting buy-in. And this is how you can use Recruiter to bring your hiring managers into the process. How you can use the tool to make that making that feedback process a little bit more streamlined.
So first of all, getting ahead with search. Here's a quote from Abraham Lincoln, and I know he wasn't talking about searching within LinkedIn Recruiter when he developed this quote. However, it really is good for getting you to think about preparation, because that's the key with using Recruiter effectively. So the first part of the session that we're going to cover off is how you can prepare and set yourself up by just investing a little bit of time to get yourself ahead with search. So to do that, I want to share with you a new mantra that I've come up with, and I've called it the 3 S's. Search, save, set. Now, I want this to be your mantra, so everybody repeat after me. Search, save, set. Come on, a little bit louder. Search, save, set. Great.
You. And if search, save, set's a little bit too much for you guys to remember, just use the acronym, which is...
Brilliant. Thanks, Ollie.
Dad jokes. Dad jokes.
So what do each of these steps mean? Let's deep dive a little bit further. So first of all, with search. Search, save and set will help you eventually meaningfully automate your search process. But to get to that holy grail of automation, you need to invest some time up front. And to do that, you need to start with your searches. You need to build some targeted Boolean search strings up front for roles that you're recruiting on a regular basis. So for example, let's have a look up on the screen. I've built a very basic Boolean search string for a role that we recruit regularly. You can see with our new feature, if this interface is looking familiar to you, this is our new Search 2.0, you can see down the bottom that you get live results as you're typing in and building out your search string. So it's important to leverage this number down the bottom to be able to ascertain whether you're being too broad or being too narrow within your search. Okay? So once you've built this search string, then we all hit search and we start to refine down using our filters. Now, the key to leveraging filters to get you ahead is to use them more intelligently.
What do you mean by using filters more intelligently, Erin? Do tell us.
I'm very glad you asked, Ollie. Thank you very much. So by using filters more intelligently, I mean using filters that you haven't used before and leveraging filters that are going to get you ahead of the game. We're all guilty of it. Everyone here in the room is probably leveraging the same filters time and time again. Location, current company, industry, years of experience. I mean, hands up if you're using some of those filters at the moment on a regular basis. And you're probably noticing that you're getting the same search results. You're seeing coming across the same profiles. So I'm going to share with you a couple of filters that you should start using tomorrow to refine down your searches and make them more targeted and relevant. The first one is company followers. Now, this is a relatively new filter that you have access to. And why might you want to refine your search based upon company followers? Anyone? Yeah, because you should be interested in the people following your organisation. And why is that? We've done some research and we know that company followers, 95% of them will respond to an email from an organisation that they follow. Another stat for you, 80% of your company followers are interested in hearing about opportunities that your organisation has. So what better way to quickly refine down to a really targeted pool of people who actually want to hear about your opportunities and hear from you. You can also leverage that information when you're sending out your in-mail communications. You know, you filter down to your company followers and you can say, hey, I see that you're following our organisation. I wanted to reach out to you about this great opportunity. Makes sense, right? The second filter that I want you to start using is activity type. So why are you looking at the same profiles time and time again when you've already actually performed some activity on these profiles? By activity, I mean things like you've put a tag on that profile, you've already sent an in-mail to that person, or you've already put that person within a project. You can actually filter out those profiles so that you're just returned fresh people who you haven't performed any actions on before. You can also, as you see on this example here, you can also set a time frame. So perhaps you just want to see people whom you haven't had any activity on in the last 6 months, or perhaps the last 3 months. That's up to you. So there's ways that you can leverage filters to get more efficient and to save you time in the long run. So we've got our targeted search. What happens next? The mantra, people. What's number 2? Search, save. Brilliant. Now, I know a lot of you aren't doing this.
We know who you are.
We've seen your Recruiter stats, and it's probably one of the most underutilized tools in Recruiter. Saving your search. And I promise you, it's so quick and easy to do. It takes 10 seconds. And if you save your search, then you're moving to step 3, which is set. And you're setting a search alert. Now, what is a search alert? A search alert is our automation feature where Recruiter will run your search, your saved search for you every 24 hours and notify you of fresh profiles that match your search results. So it's automatically pipelining those people for you. Now, you get 50 of these. You can have 50 of these turned on at any one time. But you can imagine if you're having 50 search alerts coming to you, might be overwhelmed by all the information. So make sure that you're managing your search alerts, switching them on and off as and when you're recruiting those roles. So just wrapping up this component, the 3 key mantras are search, save, and set. So set yourself up for success so that you can more meaningfully target people and leverage those automation features within Recruiter. Now, before we move on to the next stage, you might have noticed that you do need to save your search somewhere. You need to save it to a project. So, projects do a lot more than just house your searches, and Ollie is going to take us through what else projects can do to help enhance your process.
Thanks, Erin. So, another theme that we often hear is it's really difficult to keep track of everything that you've got on. Many of you will recruit for multiple different disciplines in different locations for different hiring managers. And often being able to know where you are is a really critical part of having an efficient recruitment process. The good news is that used effectively, the projects feature, which was enhanced at the beginning of the year, is a really useful tool to help you get in, find what you want, do what you need to do, and get out again. So Erin and I were thinking about how we could provide you guys with an analogy to sort of make it a little bit easier to understand, why it's important to take some time to make sure your project is set up correctly. And what we came up with was perhaps a little peek into our private lives. So this is my wardrobe at home. It's pretty full of stuff, mostly LinkedIn merchandise. Old rugby kit, just stuff that's thrown in there without care. And often we see our customers using their projects in the same way. The upshot of this, apart from seriously annoying my wife, is that it's very difficult for me to find anything. It takes a long time for me to find what I need. Now, this, on the other hand, is Erin's closet, complete with bat phone. And as you can see, it's incredibly structured, very organized, and she can find what she wants when she needs it. There's no fear of her losing her Jimmy Choos or the Prada handbag not being where it needs to be on Prada Handbag Thursday. So we would like you to think a little bit about your projects, a little bit closer to Erin's closet than to mine. So another recurring theme that we have here is preparation. So just as we were talking, as Erin was talking about, making sure that you were setting up your searches ahead of time, making sure that you're adding some structure around how you use projects is going to pay you back 10x when you need it down the track. So a couple of tips for you guys to think about when you come to set up a project. A lot of these may sound simple, but they can make a lot of difference. So firstly, pick a logical name. What you want to do is make sure that when you go back to that project in the future, or where your hiring manager might be involved in that project or another colleague, that you can tell instantly what that project is for, what information is likely to be found in the project, and what information should be placed in the project. Secondly, try and keep different projects for talent mapping and pipelining exercises than for live roles that you're working on. Often those two different processes look quite different. You're having different conversations with different people. And so it pays not to mix those or cross-pollinate those. And remember that a profile can be in more than one project at the same time. And lastly, just as with your search alerts, make sure you do your housekeeping. Archive old projects that you're not using. Don't make it more difficult than you need to find the information that's useful to you, and don't have that information covered and obscured by irrelevant stuff that's not of interest to you at that moment in time. So what you can see up on the screen here is a fairly standard screenshot of what a project folder looks like. And if you use those 3 tips, this is going to open up the door for you guys to be able to leverage a lot of the automation features that are now built into projects. So first and foremost, we have what's called smart project filters. And in effect, what that does is allow Recruiter to make updates to candidate information on your behalf based on your own activity. So for instance, you can see that Erin here has a status of new. Now what has happened is I have added Erin's profile to the project. Recruiter knows that it's a new profile to that project and automatically assigns a status of new. So you instantly know that it's a new project, a new profile. Similarly, when we look forward to Sally's profile, you can see that her status has been changed to contacted. This is because LinkedIn knows you have sent Sally an in-mail. You've made an attempt to reach out and contact Sally. So that status is automatically changed to contacted. And again, to replied with Claire. So when that candidate replies to your in-mail, that status is automatically updated again. Now, one critical thing to note about using these automated status updates is that you have to initiate the action from within the project. And what that means is if I did a search, just a name search, and found a profile outside of that project and sent an in-mail, Recruiter would have no idea that that action was related to that project. So just remember, when you initiate an action, initiate it from within the project, and you'll then be able to leverage the automated status updates. And finally, up at the top, with these bucket headers, you can very easily flick between candidates at different stages in the process. So with a few simple clicks of a button, you can easily see where you're at with your different conversations, who you've spoken to, who you haven't. And finally, the information available to you in a project folder will give you everything you need to know about everything that's happening with that candidate. So all profile activity, for instance, so you can see how many views, how many emails have been sent, any notes, and even hiring manager reviews. So we did talk to you about the fact that we were going to give you some insight into how you can use the project's feature to encourage your hiring manager to be part of the LinkedIn process, and Erin's going to take us through that now.
Great, thanks, Ollie. So the third step is getting buy-in. You want to streamline the feedback process with your hiring managers. And look, I used to recruit. I know what hiring managers are like as well. I know that one moment they're hounding you through every possible mode of communication so that you can start recruiting their role. And then the next minute when you've got a beautifully crafted shortlist, they sit on it for maybe a week or 2 on end. And God, trying to get feedback, near on impossible.
I think you need to let it go a bit, really. I
do. But with the hiring manager functionality, you can make that a lot more streamlined and a lot more simple. So when you're in your project, you've selected the profiles that you want to share with your hiring manager. You click on the share functionality and type their name in. Now, as long as your hiring manager has a LinkedIn.com profile, then you'll be able to leverage this. What LinkedIn will then do is send an email to your hiring manager that looks a bit like this one up on the screen. So the next action for your hiring manager is pretty simple. There's not really anywhere they can go except click on that big yellow button to review those profiles. So let's jump in and see what they see. So this is an overview of what your hiring manager will be able to see. You'll notice that it looks a lot like your project folder, but it does have a lot less functionality, so your hiring manager will not get lost within this project. What your hiring manager will be able to do is click on Review All Candidates, or just click to review them individually. So let's click into one of these profiles and take a look at what your hiring manager will see. So here we have Oliver as our example. So the hiring manager can scroll through Oliver's entire profile to get an understanding as to whether they think they're suitable for this particular opportunity. As you can see on the right-hand side, you can actually review the profile as well. And unfortunately, in this instance, things aren't looking too good for Ollie.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah. But you can actually change those rankings to make it anything that you want. And if you'd like to take advantage of this, then speak to your administrator who looks after the administration of your licenses. If you want to do that yourself, but you're not quite sure how, come and speak to one of our customer success consultants out in the booth outside, and we can show you how to do that as well. Your hiring manager can then also type additional notes into the profile. Now, we do often get questions around whether these notes and this information is going to be visible to the prospect, but absolutely not. All of this information is then sent back through and stored within Recruiter, so that next time you log in, you'll be able to see those profiles and you'll be able to see the review and the additional notes that your hiring manager has put on those particular profiles. It's a really great way for you to start streamlining that feedback process and automating it so that you're not having to send emails willy-nilly with CVs and things attached. But I would encourage you to start using this process with your hiring managers that you work closely with first, and particularly those ones who aren't afraid of technology. Once you get them on board, then use them as advocates to encourage your other hiring managers in the business to give this process a go as well.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah. So, coming up to the end of the session, and just an opportunity to maybe recap on what we've seen today. And I guess one of the things I would like to leave you with is that using Recruiter is a little bit like a journey. What you guys need to do is to commit to putting and to continue to put one foot in front of the other. If you guys commit to doing that, you will get to where you need to be, I can promise you. And the best bit about it is that it is going to put some time back in your day. We hope that what you've seen today will also help you take a few bigger steps in terms of you reaching your destination. So just to recap, we'd like you to get ahead. Lay a foundation with your targeted searches. Get ahead of the curve, and wherever you can, get those searches done before the role becomes critical. Automate by setting up your search alerts as well. Number 2, get organized and set up your projects properly and effectively. Leverage the automation features as well with smart project filters to help you easily understand and know where you're at with conversations, your to-do list, and across multiple roles. And finally, get buy-in. Bring your hiring managers into the fold. Get them more comfortable with using the tool. And that's going to help adoption across the organization. It's also going to help you streamline your feedback process and capture all of your information about your candidates in one place.
And don't forget the mantra, the 3 S's. What are they? Oh, thank God. You left me hanging there for a little bit. But search, save, and set. Cool. So we've got some time now for any questions that you may like to ask. So do feel free to stick up your hand and somebody will come around with a microphone, I believe. We've got a question here. Oh.
No, they'll do it.
There we go.
Thank you. Erin, when the candidates are sent to a hiring manager for review, will that search show for the candidate? So will they see that hiring manager has looked at their profile, or is it anonymous?
No,
yeah.
It's anonymous. So it's a feature within Recruiter. So everything that happens within Recruiter is anonymous, unless the hiring manager logs into their LinkedIn.com profile and searches for those people. That's the only reason why somebody would see that you're looking at them. But everything in Recruiter is anonymous. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? Question over here?
Just over here.
Thanks. When you've spent a lot of time in a Boolean search looking at lots of profiles for that little purple squirrel or that hard to find candidate, and you spent hours and hours going through, could be dozens or hundreds of profiles, and you find that you get to the end of that, you've connected with people, you still haven't found that person, and you have to go back and redesign that search. Mm-hmm. How can you save the time of reviewing the same profiles that came through the initial search without having to go through them again?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you can't refine or exclude profiles that you've viewed before, but if you've saved some of those profiles to a project, then absolutely you can exclude those. But with the activity-based filter that I was talking about, unfortunately, profile viewing is not included as an activity. Another question here?
Thanks for the presentation today. I'm very new. We don't have Recruiter as yet. We're looking,
Yep.
but and very interested. But I just wondered, with the message that's sent to the hiring manager from the recruiter to say, "Can you please review?" Is there any notification that goes back to the recruiter to say that action had been taken?
Good question.
So not via email, but when you look in the project, you can see who's reviewed, who has a review pending, and there are actually what are called smart notifications within the project folder that will show you as and when that response has happened.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Along similar lines, if a manager receives the shortlist via LinkedIn, will they also get an email to notify them?
Yes, so they
Good.
get an email notification, and a few slides back, that's where you could see that all they could do was click on the big yellow button,
Yep.
and that will take them through to the project.
So that was actually in their email?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no problem.
Sorry about that. There it is. That's a screen grab of what it would look like as well.
I'm pretending to be hiring manager in this scenario. That's probably why it's confusing.
Hi, we do a lot of quite detailed searches around really specific skill sets. So we'll do a search, for example, on a particular individual, well, a type of individual who went to Monash University and is currently living in Dubai. And then we want to do the same thing. Went to Melbourne, currently living in Dubai. Went to Monash, lives in London. Went to la la la. How do we manage that sort of information? Do we put it all into one project, and can we have multiple saved searches being pushed into that project?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can save as many safe searches into a one project folder as you like. The other thing that you might want to think about leveraging is if you're being very clear about the profile of person that you're looking for, is to leverage something called customized filters, which allow you to automatically set a predetermined selection of filters to a list of profiles all at once, rather than having to individually check every single time. So that might also speed things up for you. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Any other questions? No.
Great.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for your
Thanks
time
for coming
and
out,
attention.
guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.